It's the kind of unbelievable story they make movies about. A man in a boat has washed up on the remote Marshall Islands in the North Pacific. He claims he'd been drifting on the open ocean for 13 months and used his wits and a knife to survive.
Pues me para fracaso y digo, yo voy a tener fe en Dios primero. Le pedí a Dios que me cuidara.
Picture a lone man, adrift for 438 days in the vast ocean, miraculously surviving to reach the other side of the world. It may sound incredible, but rest assured, this is an authentic account. In 2012, two individuals set sail from the Pacific coast of Mexico in a modest fishing boat, aspiring to secure a fruitful catch and much-needed income. Only one returned to the shore, but it was on the Marshall Islands, over 5,000 miles away, and he had endured 438 days at sea. Survival tales against overwhelming odds have consistently fascinated human curiosity throughout history. Meet Jose Salvador Alvarenga, a Salvadorian fisherman whose routine fishing expedition transformed into a perilous struggle for survival on the open seas. Today, we'll delve into Mr. Alvarenga's life, recounting his extraordinary journey, the challenges he confronted, and the resilient spirit that enabled him to overcome the impossible and emerge victorious. And indeed, he did emerge. From an unassuming beginning to a brutal encounter with the storm, the relentless quest for sustenance, the heartbreaking loss of his companion, and the eventual triumphant moments of his rescue. We'll explore every aspect of Jose's extraordinary odyssey. So let's dive in. Jose Salvador Alvarenga hails from Garita Palmera, a small coastal fishing village in El Salvador, not far from the capital of San Salvador. Growing up in a modest fishing community, he became acquainted with the Pacific Ocean from an early age. His father, Jose Ricardo, who still operates a flour mill in Garita Palmera, was also a proficient fisherman. He passed on valuable knowledge and techniques to a young Jose, skills that would prove crucial for his later survival. In his teenage years, Jose started his career as a fisherman, navigating the waters along the Salvadorian coast. During this time, he refined his seafaring abilities and gained an intimate understanding of the ocean's patterns and moods. In 2002, at 27, Jose departed El Salvador, covering a 622-kilometer journey to the coasts of Chiapas, Mexico. There, he applied his advanced skills as a fisherman, a testament to his capabilities. Little did he know, a profound challenge awaited him. On the morning of November 17, 2012, Jose prepared for his routine fishing expedition. Joining forces with his regular partner, Ray Perez, they ventured into the deep seas of the Pacific Ocean. Having developed a seamless working relationship over the years, Jose and Ray efficiently harvested a substantial catch that day, returning to the port of Costa Sol in the Mexican state of Chiapas after 6 hours at sea. Upon docking, Ray left for urgent paperwork, leaving Jose eager to resume fishing promptly. Faced with Ray's delay, Jose offered a nearby young man, Ezquiel Cordoba, the equivalent of $50 to accompany him. Ezquiel, a novice in the fishing realm, accepted the offer. Before setting sail, the owner of the boat cautioned the duo about an approaching storm that could pose challenges. Jose dismissed the warning, and soon he and Ezquiel embarked on their Pacific journey. The plan involved spending approximately 30 hours at sea, fishing for sharks, marlin, and sailfish in the vast expanse of the open ocean. Their chosen vessel was a simple 7-meter open fiberglass skiff. It had a single outboard motor and a refrigerator-sized icebox for storing their catch and bait. Filled with optimism and aspirations for a fruitful haul, the two men ventured out in their unassuming fishing boat, armed with their reliable fishing equipment and provisions for their time at sea. Little did they anticipate that their seemingly innocent fishing expedition would soon transform into an unexpected battle for survival. The fishing proved to be outstanding during the time on the water, and they managed to stock the icebox with shark, mahi-mahi, and tuna, an impressive outcome for such a basic operation. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, a storm struck. The seas became turbulent, and waves relentlessly pounded the boat and the men on board, causing it to rapidly take on water. Jose desperately attempted to navigate the boat towards the shore, while Ezequiel worked fervently to bail water out into the Pacific. Maneuvering a boat laden with over 1,100 pounds of fish, along with their gear and equipment, proved nearly impossible in these harsh conditions. Recognizing the impossibility of moving the boat towards the shore, Jose reluctantly made the decision that undoubtedly pained him. He tossed the entire catch into the sea to lighten the vessel. Despite this effort, the storm proved too overwhelming. It had blown them significantly off course. As the sun set on that initial night, taking away its warmth, Jose sensed the cool night breeze against their drenched bodies. Their sole refuge against the chill was to overturn the icebox and gather inside for some semblance of warmth. However, water began filling the boat again, prompting them to switch roles, venturing outside to bail water and preventing the boat from succumbing to the depths. To paint a picture, this wasn't a passing squall lasting an hour or two. It was an extensive storm, akin to the enduring perfect storm that persisted for a total of 5 days. Once the storm subsided, Jose realized they were far beyond reaching Costa Sur. By his calculations, they were now approximately 400 kilometers, or about 250 miles away from their starting point. The storm not only veered them off course, but also disabled their motor and various portable electronics, including their GPS. In a burst of anger, Jose forcefully struck the motor with the fishing club. Despite the damage, their two-way radio remained operational. Jose urgently contacted his boss for assistance before the radio's battery expired. Now stranded in the expansive Pacific Ocean, they found themselves without a motor, lights, oars, or even an anchor. Communication with anyone on land or at sea became impossible. The storm wreaked havoc on their fishing gear, leaving them with only essential supplies and a limited amount of food and water. While Jose's boss received their emergency call and dispatched a search party, their efforts proved futile. Visibility was poor, leading to a 2-day search, after which they concluded that both men were irretrievably lost. They were unaware of being carried so far adrift, abandoned, and left for dead. For Jose and Ezequiel, the harsh reality set in. They found themselves adrift in the vastness of the Pacific, isolated and at the mercy of both the currents and their own fortune. As hours stretched into days and days into weeks, facing the absence of a fixed point, Jose conceived the idea of tying around 50 buoys still on the boat. This makeshift sea anchor would provide some drag, offering a semblance of stability to prevent aimless drifting. With no sight of land, reliance fell on Jose's fishing skills for sustenance. Using his hands, Jose captured fish and subdued them against the boat's floor. The men also captured resting birds and even seized sea turtles passing by. With cooking being unfeasible, Jose skillfully filleted the fish and other sea creatures, drying the meat on the boat when possible. They consumed their catch, utilizing every part of the animal to minimize waste. Seeking shelter as best as possible, they took turns inside the icebox to escape the harsh sunlight during the day. Despite their efforts, the scorching sun still exposed them, causing sunburns and relentless waves battered their bodies. Dehydration became a constant challenge, yet they managed to collect rainwater in various containers salvaged from the floating debris. They drank rainwater, turtle blood, and even their own urine to alleviate their thirst and combat dehydration, gradually sapping their strength each passing day. After spending 2 months at sea, Jose had adjusted to consuming birds and turtles, but Ezequiel struggled immensely. Particularly averse to eating birds, he consumed as little as possible. As the months passed, Ezequiel's health deteriorated, facing exhaustion and malnutrition. Around 4 months into this ordeal, Ezequiel found himself reluctantly eating a bird raw. Upon cutting it open, he discovered the bird had ingested a snake. This proved to be his breaking point. Plunged into a profound sense of depression and despair, he lost all hope and rejected the raw food that was adversely affecting his health. Even though he must have realized that his refusal to eat was essentially condemning himself to death by starvation. For the following days, he stuck to drinking water, taking sips when he could, assisted by Jose during moments of weakness. Shortly after, Ezequiel succumbed to his struggle, slipping into unconsciousness and passing away. Jose Alvarenga revealed that he, too, grappled with thoughts of ending his own life. However, he credited his Christian faith with preventing him from resorting to suicide. It demanded every ounce of his strength to combat the overwhelming despair, holding on to the faintest glimmer of hope for survival. Initially unable to part with Ezequiel's body, Jose honored a promise made before his friend's demise to refrain from consuming his remains. Aware of the potential circumstances, Ezequiel wanted Jose to find his mother and share their story. Despite the looming threat of cannibalism and the risk of his own demise, Jose, in a state of shock and grief, continued conversing with Ezekiel's lifeless form for another 6 days. Eventually, fearing he was losing his sanity, he uttered a prayer and released Ezekiel into the Pacific. Now entirely alone, he faced the challenges of isolation and an uncertain future. Jose mentioned spotting large container ships and other cargo vessels in the distant ocean, but he lacked any means to signal them for help. Stranded on a 23-foot piece of fiberglass in the water without lights, a flare gun, or a sail to attract attention, he remained virtually unnoticed for several months. To maintain a sense of time during his ordeal, Jose relied on counting the phases of the moon. He estimated he was in his 15th lunar cycle, reaching mid-January on the year 2014. During this lunar cycle, he noticed a faint light in the distance at night and observed an increasing number of birds, particularly land-based ones, after sunrise. Both these indicators pointed to one thing: the proximity to some form of land, and his intuition proved correct. The current had finally brought him close to solid ground. On January 30th, 2014, he removed the buoys from his boat to bring it nearer. Then, with what little energy and pure adrenaline remained, he leapt off his boat and swam to a distant shore, reaching it successfully. All he carried was a knife, and upon reaching the shore, he walked for what felt like an extended period. Fortunately, coconuts and fruit were available nearby, so he used his knife to open them and satisfy his hunger with the first substantial land-based meal in over a year. With a belly filled with fruit, he took a rest and experienced the first substantial sleep he had in over a year. After waking from his nap, he couldn't gauge how long he'd slept. Strolling along the beach, he noticed something red fluttering in the distance: a shirt on a clothesline. This led him to a modest nearby house. He hastened his steps, called out to the house, hoping for a response. Fortunately, Emily Bokmeto and her husband, Russell Lickidrick, locals working in coconut harvesting from a nearby island, were inside. The caveman-esque visitor, with disheveled reddish-brown hair and a matching beard, communicated in an unfamiliar language, prompting them to assume he encountered difficulties at sea. What spoken language couldn't express, body language, laughter, and tears communicated. They sought assistance from a nearby island, and Jose's journey was approaching its conclusion. However, it was expected that Spanish wouldn't be spoken, as they were situated in a secluded area known as the Ibon Atoll of the Marshall Islands. If you navigate or fly directly from coastal Sol Chiapas, Mexico, to Tile Islet, you would have covered more than 6,500 miles, equivalent to 10,000 kilometers. To put it into perspective, the distance from Key West, Florida, to Seattle, Washington, is approximately 2,700 miles. Now calculate well over 6,000 miles to grasp the duration of his drift. Now, experts suggest that if Jose had missed this chain of islands, he might have drifted north of Australia, possibly reaching Papua New Guinea or continuing another 3,000 miles towards the eastern coast of the Philippines. Jose Salvador Alvarenga's journey endured for 438 days, well beyond a year. Despite facing significant challenges, and though he was noticeably undernourished and dehydrated, Jose remained in relatively good health. Ji Bing, the Marshall Islands Secretary of Foreign Affairs, reported that Jose's vital signs were satisfactory, aside from unusually low blood pressure. Additionally, Jose's ankles were notably swollen, and he experienced difficulty walking, an anticipated outcome after spending over a year at sea. Word of the castaway's remarkable survival spread rapidly. The world marveled at the man who had overcome immense odds, enduring the perilous Pacific Ocean for over a year. Jose Salvador Alvarenga became a symbol of tenacity and stamina, capturing media attention and touching hearts globally. Amid the praise and admiration, skepticism surfaced. Some questioned the validity of Jose's account, highlighting the challenges of surviving for such an extended time at sea. Despite the controversies, one undeniable truth remained: Jose's journey and his unwavering spirit had left a lasting impression on our collective awareness. The improbability of enduring such a lengthy period at sea on a small craft prompted skepticism from some commentators. However, investigators were able to verify some fundamental details. Shortly after reaching the island, his boat was discovered, and Cesar Castillo, the owner of the boat he used, confirmed the registration number, providing corroborating evidence. Castillo found it hard to believe that Jose had managed to survive and ended up so far from home. He remarked, It's astonishing to endure for that long. It's difficult to fathom how anyone could go beyond 6 or 7 months without succumbing to scurvy. Yet, in an interview, Claude Piantadosi of Duke University explained that fresh meat from birds and turtles contains vitamin C. Consuming a substantial amount, as Alvarenga claims to have done, would supply enough vitamin C to prevent scurvy. The U.S. ambassador to the Marshall Islands, Tom Armbruster, admitted that it seems unlikely for someone to endure at sea for 13 months. However, it's also challenging to comprehend how someone might end up in the middle of nowhere unexpectedly. Undoubtedly, this guy has faced a difficult experience and has been at sea for an extended period. Norman Barth, also from the American Embassy in the Marshall Islands, conducted the initial questioning of Jose upon his arrival and found him to be truthful. Regarding the considerable distance covered by mere currents, experts and oceanographers have reached the consensus that it's entirely feasible for sea currents to transport a boat from Mexico to the Marshall Islands. Eric Van Stabel, an oceanographer at the University of New South Wales in Australia, estimated that such a journey would take around 18 months, deeming 13 months as entirely plausible. Further backing Jose's account, a study by researchers at the University of Hawaii modeled the likely path a boat could have taken after departing from the Pacific coast in Mexico, considering winds and current conditions. The study concluded that it would have ended up within 120 miles of the location where Jose actually landed. In April 2014, Jose's attorneys stated in a press conference that he had successfully passed a polygraph test regarding his journey. Following 11 days in the hospital, Jose Salvador Alvarenga was declared fit enough to return to El Salvador. However, he'd been diagnosed with anemia, faced sleeping difficulties, and naturally developed a fear of water. After recovering physically, Jose fulfilled his commitment to Ezequiel and visited his family's home in Mexico to speak with them in person. Unfortunately, Ezequiel's mother refused to entertain any discussions about her son's death. In 2015, Jose provided a series of interviews about his harrowing experience to journalist Jonathan Franklin, who later chronicled the story in the book, 438 Days, an extraordinary true story of survival at sea. The potential for a movie adaptation of the book seems likely, given its gripping narrative. Following the book's release, the Cordoba family pursued legal action against Jose, seeking $1 million and accusing him of resorting to cannibalism to survive, thus violating their agreement that Ezequiel Cordoba would not be consumed after death. Jose's legal representative has vehemently refuted these allegations. It's unclear how they reached such a conclusion, but money often has a peculiar way of influencing our perspectives. The tale of Jose Salvador Alvarenga unfolds as a journey marked by danger, resilience, and the triumph of the human spirit. Facing treacherous storms, hunger, isolation, and the heartbreaking loss of his companion Ezequiel, Jose's story, met with controversy and skepticism, encapsulates the enduring will to survive against overwhelming challenges. Jose's Odyssey stands as a testament to the unwavering strength of the human spirit, showcasing remarkable feats achievable when hope endures, even amid the most formidable challenges. Reflecting on Jose Salvador Alvarenga's extraordinary journey, it's worth pausing to acknowledge the resilience inherent in our human spirit and to find inspiration in his compelling story. When confronted with adversity, it's often the subtle glimmer of hope that serves as our guide through the darkest moments, steering us toward survival against all odds. Jose's experience reminds us of the power within us to persevere, even when faced with seemingly insurmountable trials. In the fabric of human existence, Jose Salvador Alvarenga's Odyssey is a thread woven with resilience, endurance, and an unwavering spirit to defy the odds. Delving into the layers of his remarkable journey reveals a narrative that goes beyond the physical challenges of surviving at sea. It becomes an exploration of the human psyche and its capacity to endure, adapt, and emerge stronger from adversity. Jose's survival tale emphasizes the universal truth that hope, however faint, can illuminate even the deepest darkness. It reminds us that in our own lives, when facing daunting challenges, clinging to hope often becomes the catalyst for transformation. Navigating the complexities of our journeys, Jose's experience prompts us to question the nature of resilience. It's not just passive endurance, but an active, dynamic force propelling us forward. Jose didn't merely survive. He navigated treacherous waters, faced hunger, and grappled with the psychological toll of isolation. His resilience wasn't stoic acceptance, but a courageous, persistent pursuit of survival against all odds. The controversy surrounding Jose's story, especially the legal allegations, adds some complexity. In the courtroom, where facts are scrutinized, the resilience of the human spirit is tested not only against nature, but also in the court of public opinion. Skepticism shadows his journey, yet the core essence of human endurance prevails, a beacon that transcends doubt. Exploring Jose's narrative unveils the intricacies of human relationships and bonds that defy trials. His promise to Ezekiel, despite the tragic outcome, reveals the enduring power of human connection. It prompts reflection on the promises we make, the commitments that anchor us, and the impact of loyalty even in dire circumstances. The literary adaptation of 438 Days and its potential cinematic representation amplify the significance. It transforms from a personal narrative to a shared collective experience, inviting us to witness and internalize the resilience that defines the human condition. Drawing inspiration from Jose Salvador Alvarenga's journey, let's not just witness his tale, but internalize its lessons. The resilience of the human spirit, as shown by Jose, invites us to cultivate hope, navigate adversity, and emerge stronger, for it is in challenges that our true strength is forged. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and stay tuned for more content.